What's up people, Craig Lopez back once again with another tutorialism, and today we're going to be looking at how we can use some of the features contained within Cubase to bring a really boring hi-hat pattern to life. And I don't think I need much more of an intro than that, so let's just get into it. Right, so in Groove Agent SE5 and I've just got a closed hi-hat on the first pad. So the first thing I need to do is draw in a boring hi-hat pattern. So let's create a pattern, and I've just got my snap set to 16th notes. Select the drum kit and just click and drag, and we should have a nice little machine gun sound in a hi-hat. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this track just so we can do a before and after. Then I'm going to mute the duplicated track and open up the Groove Agent SE. So what I want to do is create some movement and some interest in this hi-hat pattern, and because everyone on YouTube loves a listicle, let's do this in 5 different ways. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is modulate the pan, and to do this what I'm going to do is under MIDI inserts I'm going to select the Auto LFO tool, and under controller type, if I click on this list, you can see by default it's set to pan, but this is the MIDI CC pan rather than the pan on Groove Agent. So what I'm going to do is just select one of these random unassigned CCs. So let's go with Control 21 because why not? And then with the pan dial in Groove Agent SE, I'm going to right click and go to Learn CC, and then just press play on my project. And now you can see that this pan dial is moving in accordance to this LFO. So we can control the range of the LFO using the slider along the bottom. So we can either drag the left and right sides, or we can put our mouse in the middle and click and drag up to make the value range smaller. Make it a bit bigger. And we can control the frequency of the LFO using this drop down here. And of course we can change the waveform of the LFO using the slider along the top here. So I think I'm going to go with this square wave just so it jumps from left to right, giving us some very definite movement. Cool. Right, so let's look at a second way we can add a bit of movement, and I'm going to do this using a Groove Quantize, but rather than use the regular Quantize panel, did you know that we can audition different grooves in real time using the MIDI inserts, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to select Quantizer, and I'm going to check this box here that says Allow Real-Time Quantize. And now using this slider, I can audition and hear in real time different swing amounts and the effect that they will have on this hi-hat pattern. So let's have a play about with that. I think I like it at about 54. Let's turn it off and on. Maybe let's pull it back a bit. Nice. Subtle, but it's definitely adding a whole world of interest to this hi-hat pattern. Right, so let's look at a third way that we can add a bit of movement to this hi-hat pattern. And what I'm going to do now is kind of picture the way that a real drummer would hit the hi-hat with his or her drumsticks. And if you think about it, they're never going to be able to hit that hi-hat in the exact same place with that drumstick every time, especially not playing a 16th note rhythm like this, because that would just be humanly impossible. So let's try and recreate that within Cubase. So I'm going to go to Groove Agent, open it up again, and I'm going to go to the amp section here. And under the ADSR, if I play about with the attack, just listen to what happens. You can hear we're getting some nice little variations, of course, based on the amplitude attack. So the longer we have the attack, the softer the initial transient on that hi-hat. And of course, the shorter the attack, the more pronounced the transient. So let's look at how we can automate that. And what I'm going to do is actually create another auto LFO. So I'm going to turn this one off to begin with. And let's add auto LFO. And again, let's select a controller. This time, let's not go with 21 because we've already used that. Let's go with 25. And what I'm going to do is right click on the attack and go to Learn CC again and just play this through one time. And you can hear that's having quite a crazy effect so far. Unfortunately, we don't see this moving in real time, but we have ears and that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to just play about with the value range and see what we can come up with. You can hear that we're getting the kind of nice even more of a shuffly pattern than we were from just using the quantize, just by playing about with that attack. Now let's try different wavelengths, see how that affects things. Nice, I like the way it sounds on quarter note triplets there. Getting some nice little grooves. Right, so let's turn the pan on as well. And I think I might go back to this pan and change it to a sine wave. Just make it a little bit smoother. Let's bring down the value range a bit. Okay, liking that. Liking it a lot. Right, so let's look at a fourth method for creating a bit of movement. And this method, I guess, is the most obvious, so I'm not sure why I've left it to number 4. And that is just simply velocity variation. So what I'm going to do is pull down 2, leave 1 up, pull down 2, leave 1 up, pull down 2, leave 1 up. Of course, you don't have to do it like this, but this is just a kind of nice little off pattern, and that we're kind of moving this in patterns of 3, even though we've got a 4/4 beat. So should add a nice little bit of variation. This is a technique that I stole off another YouTuber the other day. Can't remember his name, but I'll put a link in the description below to that guy. But let's have a listen to how this affects things now. Nice. So simple, but so effective. Right, so the fifth way that we're going to add a little bit of interest to this hi-hat pattern is using dynamics. Now, because we've got so much variation going on here in this one little hi-hat pattern, I'm hearing some frequencies that I'm not too keen on. So first thing I'm going to do actually is add a Deesser. So let's go into my Steinberg folder under Dynamics. And let's go to Deesser. And what a Deesser basically is not a multi-band compressor, but a compressor that only works on one band. So what I'm going to do is just go to this button here, difference, turn it on, so I can kind of hear what is being compressed. And I'm going to use the low and high markers here to kind of select a band or a range that I want to compress. Let's have a listen to it without it soloed. Let's do an A-B. You can hear how that's just balancing things out nicely. Let's bypass it again. Maybe let's pull down the reduction. Nice, liking that. So continuing on Dynamics, let's go to Squasher. So Dynamics, Squasher. And if you've not used Squasher before, you really need this thing in your life. It's basically a multi-band compressor with downwards compression and upwards compression and all these crazy controls at the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is just play about with it and see what happens. Right, so what I'm going to do in the top band here, which is just going to compress the upper frequencies, which is where the hi-hat is turn my upwards compression up. And yeah, let's just play about with things, see what happens. Cool. Let's have a play about with the gate and the drive and maybe the attack and release here as well. See what happens. I don't know. It's a journey of discovery for me, but it's such a cool plugin. It never really fails. Cool, I like that. And then I'm just going to play about with there's a dry wet mix here and a dry wet mix here. So I'm just going to blend in this craziness with what we already have. Right. So let's just end things with an A-B. So we have our original hi-hat here. Let's have a listen to that. And let's have a listen to the hi-hat processed 5 ways. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Who'd have thought you could have so much fun with a hi-hat playing on every 16th note, but that's Cubase for you. Anyway, that's it for now. I've been Craig Lopez. This has been Tutorialism. Now go make some music. Peace.